Cheers and welcome to the Wine Fool. I'm Scott. This week I've got 3 red varietals from Costco's Kirkland Signature brand. Are they worth the trip? Let's find out. During my last trip to Costco, my goal was to find white wines, and that's exactly what we did in my last episode. While I was there, I spotted some red varietals that I'd never tried before, so that's what we're doing this week. But as we saw last time out, cheap does not always mean good. So let's see if these bargains are worthwhile. This week we're looking at a Chianti Classico, a Pinot Noir, and a Zinfandel. First up, we have a 2021 Chianti Classico Riserva. Chianti is typically medium-bodied with moderate acidity, with flavors of ripe cherry, plum, and savory herbs. This is 13.5% alcohol by volume and was $8.99 for the bottle. That's $107.88 per case for those of you keeping track at home. Chianti are typically Sangiovese grapes, but can include Canaiolo, Colorino, Cabernet, and Merlot grapes. The Riserva designation means that this is some of the best wine in the region and has been aged for a minimum of 2 years. Per the label, this was aged for the last 3 months in the bottle. Nice ruby color. Not quite that purple, kind of ruby heading into that garnet. Dark fruits on the nose, a little bit of herbaceousness. Cheers. Strong tannins, getting that mouth drying effect. High acidity, mouth's watering a little bit, makes me want to have another sip. A little flat on the fruit, doesn't quite pay off the nose. Solid Chianti. This is nice, good dry red. Would pair well with fatty meats. Charcuterie board would go great with this. Good rich cheeses, something to kind of counteract that acidity and those tannins. Yeah, a little flat on the flavor. Again, good, decent, great price point, $9. Good structure, but it feels like it's missing something. Good tannins, good acidity. It's kind of missing that flavor profile. It's leaving me wanting a little bit more. Again, for $9, it's really nice. We don't go to Costco necessarily. We don't go to Kirkland Signature to find stuff to stash away in the cellar for years upon years. I think this is a great wine, especially for the price. If you're into reds, if you're experienced with reds, I would say that this is probably a Wine Fool level 1. Not gonna surprise you. Is this an entry-level red? No, I don't recommend this as an entry-level red. I think there's better out there. We might be trying ones shortly, but from that perspective, Wine Fool level 1, not very complicated, not quite the best representation of a Chianti that I think is out there. For the price, is it a good deal? Yes. But not quite as adventurous, not quite as kind of pushing the envelope to that next level of experience. Next, we have a 2022 Pinot Noir from the Carneros region of Napa Valley in California, also known as Los Carneros, to distinguish it from the Sonoma Valley region of the same name. Pinot Noir is typically lighter bodied with subtler notes of red berries, earthiness, and spice. This is 14.5% alcohol by volume and was $9.99. Lighter intensity, can kind of see through the entire wine, don't have anything kind of blocking the way. Kind of on that purple ruby boundary, a little bit of purple, and then getting some of that ruby towards the edges. Very light on the nose. Strawberries, cherries. That's a tough one. It's not very aromatic. Cheers. Having tried quite a few Pinot Noirs in the past, really quite pleasant. Not going to shock anybody, not going to wow anybody. Low to no tannins almost. Low acidity. I think we've said in the past here, if you're going to start somebody on red wine, Pinot Noir is sort of the way to go. You don't have that really high tannin level, high acidity. The fruit notes, sometimes people get put off by the strong fruit on the nose. This is kind of like all of those things, the opposite, right? Like low tannins, low acidity, not a lot of fruit on the nose, kind of just a nice, pleasant, easy to drink red wine. That's nice, especially for $10. I could see plowing through this. And again, that's this is kind of light enough, especially this time of year where we're kind of schizophrenic with the weather. We're cold one day, warm the next. If you're looking for a red, easy to drink, something that's not gonna like overwhelm you with, you know, heat, something like this, Pinot Noir, be a nice, you know, cooler spring day. You don't want that really heavy red, something really quite pleasant. Wine Fool level 1, definitely entry level red. You know, if you're looking for somebody to, you know, you're looking at a friend or yourself who wants to get into red wine, Pinot Noir, this particular one is quite delicious. Lastly, this week, we have a 2021 Old Vine Zinfandel from Sonoma County in California. Zinfandel typically has bold and robust characteristics with ripe fruit flavors, hints of spice, and often higher alcohol. Although this one is 14.5%, which is the same as the Pinot Noir that we just tried. This wine is also $9.99. So a little bit more intense on the colors. A little bit darker, more of that purple coloring. I'm getting like some leather notes, dark fruit, plum, red cherries. Not particularly overwhelming on the aroma. Cheers. Much different flavor profile. Spicy, little elevated tannins. Not quite as much as the Chianti. Little bit of acidity, not too bad. There's a nice balance there. That's interesting. So what does it say? Expressive fruit flavors with vibrant energy and soft, ripe tannins. Bright fruit, framed with baking spice. Okay. All right, so that might be, yeah, that's interesting. But I get that baking spice. I've had that, you know, learning along with all of these wines over the course of, now we're going on 9 months, 10 months. You begin to learn when somebody puts a name to the scent or flavor that you've had multiple times and maybe couldn't necessarily put your finger on it. Tasting that, I'm like, baking spice. Okay, there's a little bit of sense there. This is really interesting. Again, I don't think it's very, you know, not pushing the boundaries of you know, our wine tasting. Wine Fool level 1, this is quite pleasant. I wouldn't be too remiss in introducing someone to this as a first red. I could see buying a couple bottles of this and keeping it around for the winter, especially at that price point, $10. This is quite enjoyable. If you like reds, I guess I highly recommend this. So how did we do with our Costco reds? I feel like we ended up in a much better place than we did with the whites. It's just one of those things. That could be my bias, maybe a little bit. I think these are all quite enjoyable to the degree in which, like, they're a nice representation of the variety. The Chianti left me a little bit, you know, wanting more. It had some nice aspects, but it felt like it was kind of missing that key element. The Pinot Noir, a nice, easy drinking red. And the Zinfandel, actually quite interesting, I feel like a great value at that price point. If you're interested in bargain wines, be sure to check out my other recent videos from Trader Joe's and Costco. Until next time, stay foolish and cheers to drinking better wine.